Step 13. Verify surface cleanliness. This test is done to make sure that no debris will hinder the ability of the coating material to properly attach itself to the fitting. To perform, the employee must lightly place a piece of Scotch tape onto the fitting. After a minute, the Scotch tape will be removed from the fitting. The employee will do a visual test to verify that less than 10% of the piece of tape is covered in debris. If the test is within range, the employee must move on to the next step. If the test is outside the range, the fitting must be reblasted. Step 14. Verify anchor pattern profile. This step lets the employee know that the piece will have the optimal depth and texture for the coating material to adhere to the surface. If the test results come back as out of range, then the coating material's quality will be compromised, as it will likely not stick to the piece. To test, attach the tape randomly to the outside of the piece. Rub the middle circle of the tape with a hard object until imprint is visible. Remove the tape from piece. Locate the TestX Anchor Test tool. Recalibrate the TestX tool by putting the dial to 8. Pull the trigger. Put the middle circle in the TestX tool and make sure that the metal rod will hit only the circle. Read dial. Verify that the reading is between 2.5 and 5 mils. Attach the sticker to the daily QC log's last page in the open space. Step 15. Cover ends of fitting. The ends of fittings must be covered to avoid getting coated materials on areas that will be welded or on the inside of the pieces. Tape the outside edges of the fitting with duct tape staying against the edge of the bevel and creating a 2-inch tab at or near the 10 o'clock location. A tab larger than 2 inches may flap while being coated and create areas of low material on the final product. Locate or cut a cardboard end cap and surround the outside with masking tape. Attach the covering to the piece, leaving no areas for coating materials to get inside the fitting. Verify that there are no holes in the tape which could allow coating materials to leak onto the piece. Tape around the strap in an effort to keep the straps clean. Ensure that the covering is secure and tightly taped. After you have completed the previous step, use the grinder and shave down any imperfections on the piece. Use a latex glove and skim the surface to find any bumps or defects on the metal. Step 16. Verify base feed pressure. The pressure at which materials will flow out of the coating spray gun are very important. If the pressures of all fluids are not within range, then it will jeopardize the final coat applied. In order to verify base feed pressure, the employee must locate the base feed pressure gauge, visually read the gauge to ensure pressure is 400 psi plus or minus 50 psi. Record readings in the daily QC log. Step 17. In order to verify hardener feed pressure, the employee must locate the hardener feed pressure gauge, visually read gauge to ensure pressure is 200 psi plus or minus 50 psi, then record your readings in the daily QC log. Step 18. Verify outbound base temperature. The temperature of the base is very critical to the quality of the coating material. If the temperature is too high or low, then the coating material may not mix right, may not properly attach to the piece, or may provide a hazardous environment. To check outbound base temperature, locate the base temperature gauge on the left-hand side of the coating pump. Correctly read the gauge for the base temperature. Verify the temperature is 150 degrees plus or minus 10 or 15 degrees. Record the temperature in the daily QC log. Step 19. Verify outbound hardener temperature. To check outbound hardener temperature, locate the hardener temperature gauge on the right-hand side of the coating pump. Correctly read the gauge for the hardener temperature. Record the temperature in the daily QC log. Verify the temperature is a minimum of 60 degrees and a maximum of 100 degrees. Step 20. Verify hose temperature. The temperature of the hose bundle is very critical to the quality of the coating material. If the temperature is too high or low, then the coating material may not mix right, may not properly attach to the piece, or provide a hazardous environment. To check the hose temperature, locate the digital temperature gauge found on the main panel. Verify the temperature is a minimum of 135 and a maximum of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Record the temperature in the daily QC log. If the temperature is outside of the range, do not spray. Adjust the temperature as needed. If the temperature is within range, move on to the next step. Spraying the pieces. All the proper PPE must be worn before entering the booth for spraying. You must have on a Tyvek suit, full face respirator, protective gloves, and protective booties. Approach the prepared pieces after achieving the required spray fan. Never start a pass directly onto the piece. Always start off to the side and move towards and away from the piece. The speed and distance from the piece is critical. The gun should be at least 18 inches away from the piece, sometimes upwards of 24 inches. The speed determines the thickness of the coating on the piece. If you go too fast, the coating will be too thin. If you go too slow, the coating will be too thick and will run. Overlapping is very important. It ensures that the entire piece will be covered with coating material. Just be cautious on the amount of overlap is laid on. This can lead to the material to build up. In between spraying pieces, be sure to spray off to the side every 5 to 15 seconds. Once the two materials interact, they immediately begin to react and start to harden. If the lines aren't constantly cleared, the risk of freezing up the lines, mixers, mixing block, spray tip, and spray gun is very high, especially in the summer months. After the sprayer determines enough material has been applied to all the pieces in the booth, it is time to switch back to the cleaner to flush out the lines, mixers, spray gun, and tip. This must be done in a very timely fashion. If this process takes too long, the same result will happen as previously explained. After the sprayer exits the booth, the cardboard caps must be removed before the material is too hard. It will be too difficult to remove the tape and caps if the material hardens. Pull on the duct tape tab to remove the tape. Be careful not to damage the freshly applied coating. Once all tape and caps are removed, the booth doors can be closed and the heat can be turned on. This will speed up the curing process. Step 22. Verify dry film thickness. This test is to verify again that there has been enough coating material applied to the entire piece. Locate the calibrated Type 2 gauge Positector 6000. Remove sensor cover. Place sensor randomly on coated piece. Read the meter and record the measurement in the daily inspection log. Verify that the coating is between 20 and 50 mils. There should be a total of 6 dry film thickness tests. Mark any areas that do not fit into the appropriate range for repairs. Move on to the next step. Step 23. Perform holiday detection test. This test is done to verify that the coating material doesn't have any holes throughout the entire piece. This step is critical to determine if any repairs need to be made. Locate the holiday detection test kit. Attach the orange brush area to the power box. Turn detection test on. Drag the brush across the entire coated surface of the piece. If there are any sparks, mark the entire area that is under appropriate thickness. If the total area to be repaired is under 40 square inches, then do a spot repair. If the total area to be repaired is above 40 square inches, the area has to be sanded. Not completely down to the metal, just enough to get the shine off. Then the piece gets hoisted back up and the ends must be capped. Just that repair area gets sprayed inside the booth. The rest of the piece is left as is. Drop on a pallet or in a crate as per customer's instruction. Step 24. Final marking. The final marking is verified by quality control. This includes the following markings: manufacturer, job number, heat code, size of piece, wall size, grade, and any other information required by the customer. All of these are to be spray painted onto the piece once all previous steps have been completed. All markings made on the outside of the piece are also to be transferred to the inside of the piece.